Welcome to How to Start and Scale a Highly Successful E-commerce Business. What if you more than quadrupled your e-commerce business sales and profit in just a few months? What would this mean for your business, and what would this mean for you? I'm Tamara Ashworth, founder of Ashworth Strategy e-commerce marketing company, and in this video, I'm going to dive right in and show you the tangible tips and tricks for scaling your e-commerce business that you can start implementing today. Business owners are all busy at any stage of the building and scaling journey. So I didn't want to make you wait for a webinar that you have to remember to show up to a scheduled time. Instead, I want to give you these applicable insights right away. Therefore, I'm going to be completely transparent and lay out the goals for this video. So, number one, the primary goal is that anybody can step away from this video having learned something of value that they can apply to their e-commerce business right away and start to see massive improvement. Number two, if you fit the profile, there is an opportunity to schedule a call with me or my team to clarify your strategy, customized 100% for your e-commerce business. And this is free. So, in the essence of transparency, let me explain briefly why I am offering these free phone calls. Number one, because it goes along with my company's mission, and as I advise my clients, your mission is essential to building a brand presence. A brand presence is essential for long-term business success because if you don't truly help your customers out, your business will be very short-lived. And we are in the business of building long-term company and long-term success. Ashworth Strategy's mission is to be the number one resource for scaling e-commerce businesses to the multiple seven figures. And this doesn't happen with short-term success or short-term vision. Number two, yes, if it sounds like we are a good fit to working together, then great. But it's important to note that we honestly are very selective because our client success is a direct reflection of our success. Therefore, we literally cannot afford to take on the wrong client. And the pattern is the way that I've grown my own company is the same way that I've grown our clients' e-commerce businesses to multiple seven figures. Okay, so let's dive right in and get started. This is what you'll learn today. First of all, we want to explain why is an e-commerce business the absolute best business model that there is today. And next, the meat of it is what are the 7 steps to building your multiple seven-figure e-commerce business? So number one, why is an e-commerce business the best business model that there is today? So there are several different reasons. First of all, it can run without you. So this basically means that you do not need to be in your business in order for it to run. It means that you can step away even for a few months and it will run without you. That is a massive, massive benefit for business models. Then, adding to this, therefore, it actually has an asset value without you. So it has an asset value because it doesn't need you. What I mean by this is the fact that it doesn't rely on you as a person. You have put in the systems in place for an e-commerce business. Let's say it is a skincare line. You already have the ingredients, the bottling, the packaging, the design, the fulfillment, the operations, etc. And therefore, you don't physically have to be part of the business for it to run. And that means that it has an asset value that you can actually sell in the future. So it does provide you with this very important asset value. And another reason is that the product doesn't have to continuously change. So once you have, for example, with the same skincare example, once you have a hand cream, for example, that your customers love, the formula does not have to change for years, if not decades. You do not have to continuously update the product. Another reason is that customer service is actually a lot easier than the other models. So if you think of a software as a service business, the customer service is extremely complex because basically every customer is going to be using the software as a service in a different way, and you have to record this new use every single time. Also, your customer service has to be even better than the customers using the product, and they have to know the product much better in order to service your customers. With an e-commerce product, it's fairly simple and it's very straightforward. Let's say it's a hand cream. Basically, the customer service might be something like, can I use this on my face? Or I didn't get my product yet, etc. So it's going to be a lot more straightforward. So you don't need the high level of customer service needed for a software as a service business. And it's pretty much in one place. It's all online, and you generally only need a tenth of the number of people to service this customer service for an e-commerce business versus something like a software as a service business. Then the last point here is that e-commerce has the fastest growth potential by far versus any other model. And this is because of Facebook advertising. And the reason is because generally your products are going to be less pricey than either software as a service or another type of service, high-end. More than likely it's going to be a high-end service. So therefore, your funnel and your advertising has to be a lot longer. It's a lot longer amount of time to purchase. And it has to be a lot more complicated when you have a very high price in the hundreds or thousands. When you have a product that is up to $100, $200, you pretty much, or below, around the $50 mark, you pretty much only need a top of funnel cold audience and then retargeting. Sometimes you need a middle of funnel, but that's pretty much it. You don't need a sales team to take sales calls in order to convert a customer. So it actually, because of this, it can grow very, very quickly. So now, the 7 steps to building your multiple 7-figure e-commerce business. Step number 1, this is the strategy. So what I mean by this is understanding your market, your competitors, your own product inside and out, and who your customers are inside and out. Step 2, your brand message. This is extremely important for being able to put a premium price on your product. Branding is the reason why e-commerce stores can scale, or why they stagnate, or why they eventually fail. Number 3, website. So this is the conversion rate optimization on your website, and we'll talk more about that. Step number 4, social proofing. This is essential for e-commerce businesses. And again, I will talk more about that. Step number 5, Facebook and Instagram advertising. I have a little asterisk there because there's a lot to get into with this, and I will touch upon this in this video. But basically, I am barely scratching the surface because it is so in-depth. However, I do have 2 slides full of information for this, and you will be able to step away with some very valuable information on this point. Step 6, customer service and fulfillment. This is extremely important. And step number 7, remarketing. So getting back to those who you've already targeted and retargeting them again in the various ways. So this is actually in order. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And these are the 7 most essential steps that is necessary to building your multiple 7-figure e-commerce business. So one note, even when you think that you've done all of the necessary back-end research, so this is the strategy and understanding your market and competitors, etc., the e-commerce environment changes so rapidly. So what I highly suggest is that you do go over these first few steps at least every 6 months. That is essential. And the most successful e-commerce companies have self-reflecting mechanisms in place so that they never miss something essential to the trajectory of their business. For example, if you don't have this self-reflecting mechanism, you could miss a very important trend happening in the market, or you could miss a very huge competitor that has just entered the market. Another example is if you miss that your customers are actually evolving and changing, and their wants and dislikes and their pain points might be changing. So this is extremely important for you to keep up to date, and this is why not just e-commerce, but this is the sole reason for why companies have actually really just stagnated and then eventually failed. Even the most successful large conglomerate companies, the reason is because they didn't have this self-reflecting mechanism in place. So we want to make sure that we always have that habit from the beginning. And for e-commerce, I recommend twice a year, every 6 months. And the reason is exactly because it is so fast-paced and fast-moving, and especially when we start to talk about Facebook and Instagram advertising. So step number 1, as I mentioned, this is your strategy. So market, competitors, customer, and product. Some questions for you to reflect on, and these are the questions that you need to be answering for yourself in order to get these through this strategy, is what is the market size opportunity? Why is this question important? It's because if your market size is too small, so if it's much too targeted, let's say, for example, a company that is targeting only a small town, and it's only for that town, and it's a product that can only be used by the people in this small town that has 50,000 people in it. Well, this is going to be extremely small, and it might not be able to scale into a 7-figure business, and it's definitely going to be very hard to do Facebook or Instagram advertising. So you must make sure that you know what your market size opportunity is. And then, who are the main competitors in this market? And how are they reaching their customers? What does their website look like? And what does their advertising look like? We can now see everyone's advertising by going to their Facebook company page and then scrolling down to info and ads, and you can actually see your competitor's website, your competitors running ads at that moment. And it's a great way to do competitor research when you're looking to build out your own advertising. Who is your ideal customer, and what do they struggle with? What solution does your product offer them, and how big is this struggle? This is so important. This is getting to the meat of it, because without knowing exactly who your customer is and what they struggle with and what are their pain points are, you won't know how to best communicate with them or even make the best solution for them, which is really the point of all of this. So the next part is to produce the best product possible. So this is single-handedly the best piece of advice for scaling an infinitely successful company. How does your product solve your customers' pain points? And then from this, you can get to how does your product solve your ideal customer's problem better than competitor products? So this becomes your company's USP, unique selling point. And this is where you will build your brand from. So step number 2 is your brand message. Now that you know exactly who your customer is and what you solve for them better than your competitors, it's time to package this into a brand. So brand is more than the creative assets, logos, photos, videos, etc. Brand is how your customers feel when they come across your product for the first time, or when they think back to your product if they've already heard of you before. So the way to make customers feel is in the way that you describe that one message that is echoed throughout all of your customer interactions. So this is anything that your customer comes in contact with. For example, on your ads, in your emails to them, on your website, in the checkout process, and in the delivery of the product to them, and then in the remarketing follow-up activities after purchase, and on and on. So therefore, your brand is really the message that your ideal customer resonates with fully. And the brand message answers why a customer would ever want to buy your product. Step 3, this is website, and this is where we discuss the conversion rate optimization. So your website is not initially optimized for conversion. If you're using Shopify to host your store, for example, which is the best platform to use for e-commerce, these themes were actually originally developed by designers, and they did not think about how to optimize for store conversions and sales. So here are some tangible, easy things that you can improve your website conversion rate. First of all, offer free shipping. This is the number one thing that really has been proven to deter customers from really finalizing a product sale. And this is because people do not like to pay shipping fee. It's something a little bit psychological, and in fact, it's better to price this into your product amount rather than to make them pay a shipping fee. So number 2, add a customer testimonials app. So one suggestion is the product called Judge.me Product Reviews. This is a Shopify app. Make sure that you see the star ratings on both of your collection page as well as each of the individual product pages. This is important. And number 3, pay attention to your copy. Make sure that you are first answering the question, what's in it for me, from the customer's perspective. Why should they care about your product? What will it do for their life? What is that transformation that they are expecting from buying your product? In other words, make your crow's feet disappear in only 5 days. This is an example for a skin cream. And always start off with the direct product benefits before explaining anything else. For example, I have a lot of clients who they have secondary benefits such as each proceed from the product. So let's say $5 from the $50 product will actually go towards helping a girl in need get educated in a third world country for a week. That is incredible. However, the product benefits in the hierarchy of copy on your website and on the product page description should come first, and then you talk about the additional benefits. Number 4, make the checkout as simple and easy and quick as possible. Please, no unnecessary sign-ins. Don't make your potential customer have to sign in before they can even check out in the process. Also, another suggestion is to give the option of using Apple Pay. Most people, remember, they use their mobile to browse social media. So in fact, it's about 95 to even 99% of people are going to be on their mobile devices in order to, when they're seeing your ad or when they are on your website. So always remember that mobile comes first, and make sure, another point is make sure that your website is, of course, optimized for mobile. Always check to see how it looks on your cell phone. And number 5, large, sharp, professional images and videos. No fuzzy photos. This gets tiring, and it also doesn't look like a trustworthy company, and we want to be as trustworthy as possible when people are on our website and buying our products and about to exchange their money and putting in their credit card information. Look professional and show very clear, sharp, nice, beautiful imagery and videos. Number 6, lifestyle photos and videos. So actually get people, or even better, your customers, to show them that they're actually using the product. So how does it look like when somebody is actually using it? And show these videos and photos of people, because not only is it to show how to use your products, but it's also the fact that psychologically we like to see people. It gets very boring if we're only seeing product, product, product. We want to see people with the product. Number 7, clean, organized, intuitive store navigation. Do not make your customers work for it. So that's basically the general theme. Just make it as simple and easy and inspiring as possible for your customers. Number 4, it's all about the social proofing. So e-commerce is all about social proofing. Think about it. If you saw an ad and it had 5 likes, or you saw a second ad and it had 50,000 likes, which one are you most likely to click on? So the same goes for your store. The more customer testimonials with 5-star ratings, the better. This is the number 1 direct impact on how well your advertising will do and how well your store's conversion rate will be. This is extremely important. Just think social proofing, social proofing, social proofing. How can you get it up there as much as possible? How do you get your customer testimonials onto your website? Well, there are a few ideas. You can email your customers and offer to give away free products to any customer who sends in a photo or a video of themselves using the product. Or you can also ask them to just write a review on your website. Then you can just create a coupon code. If you're using Shopify, this is pretty simple. You create a coupon code on Shopify and you send this to them for using it in order to get their free product. So they can basically just check out with the coupon directly, and you don't have to write down their information and do it one by one. You can literally just send the coupon code directly to them. So then an additional bonus is that not only can you use these photos of your customer using your products and the videos on your website, but the additional bonus is that you can use it in your advertising as well, and especially videos, because Facebook loves videos, especially nowadays. And how do you get social proofing onto your ads? Well, if you're familiar with advertising on Facebook, basically you create something that is called a PPE campaign. That's a per post engagement campaign. And after you put enough budget behind your ads, all you have to do is copy the ad ID and then drop this ad ID into a conversion campaign. Now you've socially proofed your ads for some time with a bunch of budget behind it and really get that up there. And now you've taken that same ID and it's running in a conversion campaign for purchases. Step number 5, Facebook and Instagram advertising. Facebook and Instagram are the number 1 platforms where people will buy e-commerce products. And 1/3 of the world today is actively on Facebook. This means that you have over 2 billion people that you can reach at any given time. And this number is only increasing. So it is super important to get on Facebook and Instagram with advertising your e-commerce business. When marketing your e-commerce business, you want to be where your customers will spend most of their time. So think about how much time people spend looking at their phones. People look at their phones when they're commuting, when they're taking breaks, at their lunchtime, on the couch, in bed in the evening, and before they get out of bed in the morning, during commercial breaks, when watching TV, etc. So what do the majority of people do when they're looking down at their phones? Well, they're scrolling through social media. And the most popular social media platforms? Facebook and Instagram. Okay, so I've convinced you that Facebook and Instagram is where you definitely want to be advertising if you want to be reaching your ideal customer. as an e-commerce business owner. So what are the best strategies for advertising on Facebook and Instagram? To show you everything within this short video would be absolutely impossible. But for those who are already a bit familiar with advertising on Facebook, which by the way owns Instagram, here are some essential tips. You must set up your campaign funnels correctly. And this is done by having a top of funnel, which is your cold audience. They've never heard of your product or company before. And the bottom of funnel, which is your retargeting campaign. This is considered a minimum viable funnel, MVF, because you want to first test out if you even need a longer funnel than this. If you don't, then you've just saved yourself extra expense to advertising to your customers. A general rule of thumb, if your product is over $50, you will probably need a longer funnel. So first, the first step, as we mentioned before with social proofing, is to set up a PPE, remember that's per post engagement campaign, to build that social proofing. Then you can slot them, using the ad ID I mentioned, straight into these top of funnel and bottom of funnel conversion campaigns. And another side note is that when starting out, you might need to start with the conversion objective, which is content view, and then you move to adds to cart, and then you move to purchase, and you decide to move to each one after you've reached 50 conversion events, whichever you've chosen within that 7 days. So basically, you start off with content view, conversion objective, and in 7 days, once you get at least 50 conversions of that content view, then you can push the conversion event objective to adds to cart. Once you have at least 50 adds to cart within the last 7 days, then you can start to push that conversion objective to purchase. And this is when Facebook will be optimized. One tip is also to use videos in your advertising. This is essential because of multiple reasons that I can't get into all the details right now in this video, but essentially, first of all, Facebook is doing a huge push to use videos. So therefore, your engagement will go up because if the algorithm likes it, then you like it. Secondly, it is more engaging for your customers. So those are the two main reasons, but I can get into them if we speak on the phone in person. So another tip is very, very, very important. ABT. Always remember your ABT, which stands for always be testing. So this is extremely important for Facebook advertising. Just a little side tip. We can dive much further into this. It would take hours upon hours and days and weeks. So we're just barely scratching the surface, but hopefully you can walk away with some very valuable information on this step. And step number 6, customer service and fulfillment. Once you start getting sales, customer service will become ever more important. So I've literally seen CPA, this is cost per acquisition, on advertising campaigns double or even triple just a few minutes after there was a negative review or a negative comment on the ad. And once you start getting a steady stream of sales, I highly recommend making this your number one focus. You can even hire someone whose sole job is to answer customers. And the beauty of this is that it's generally easy to manage. You just have to keep a daily track of the following: comments on each of your live ads, so that's every single one. And the tip here is to basically save that URL on your website so that you can just refer to it very easily and refresh it, or you can just leave the tab open throughout the day and refresh. And then another tip is reviews made on your website. Again, make sure that you have that tab open and you can literally just refresh it to make sure that there aren't any negative reviews, or you can just keep track of your product pages. Then you have emails from customer inquiries, so definitely need to get to those as quickly as possible. And then comments on your Facebook page, so your company's Facebook page, and comments on your Instagram feed. So just a little note is that Facebook actually monitors how quickly you respond to the comments, and it also knows the sentiment behind those comments. So not only does it understand the sentiment behind the comments on Facebook, so that's your Facebook page and your live ads, but it actually also understands the sentiment on your website. So it can read the crawlers. The algorithm has these Facebook crawlers because you have your pixel, of course, that you've attached to each of your ads, and it crawls your website and it can actually read the sentiment of your customer reviews. So remarketing is step number 7. Never forget this, because you've spent all this time, effort, energy, and money especially on this whole process to get new customers. And now that you've acquired some new customers, you must make sure that you have this system in place to reach back out to them. So this can be done with your advertising, bottom of funnel campaigns, for example, but it's also can be done outside of paid marketing in your emails, for example. Remarketing on average produces 4 to 5 times return on investment versus reaching out to a cold audience. And this is because they're already warm. They already know of or have heard of your products. They're familiar in one way or another. So it's much easier to reach back out to them and to get them to buy your products again, or to finish that purchase if they've left something in their cart. And a tip is that if you've already have a lot of sales, then what you want to do when you start with Facebook advertising is start with your retargeting campaigns. So when building out your advertising funnel, start with that BOF, bottom of funnel. This will ensure that you capture the full value right away, instead of waiting until you figure out that top of funnel ad, which honestly nowadays can essentially break even or between 1 to 2%. Your bottom of funnel is going to get you that much higher. And if you have a middle of funnel, it can get higher. So we have seen upwards of 15, 20, or even much higher than that percentage due to the retargeting ads. But don't be surprised if your top of funnel is just at 2%, 2 times. General rule of thumb, you want to spend 60% of your budget on cold audience and 40% on your warm audience, your remarketing. And the reason is because you need enough people coming through your funnel in order to get to retarget them. So this is how you scale. So I hope that you've learned at least one thing from all of this. And let me show you how this process has helped our clients reach the success that they've only used to dream about. This is one client, and he has an e-commerce health product business, and they had a failing Facebook advertising campaign. They needed to turn around things as soon as possible. The campaign budget was a little over $45,000 per month, and when they came to us, they had below 1 times return on ad spend. Their CPAs were much too high because the cost of the product was actually $30 or a little less. So therefore, the CPAs at $30 was much too high. And the result, after working with us, they have increased their return on ad spend 300 to 400%. So that's 3 to 4 times. And they've lowered their CPA to $16. And this was only in the matter of weeks. And honestly, now they're even higher.
Yeah, so our ads were struggling, and we hired you on to kind of last-ditch effort turn things around. Our client was running out of money, so we kind of didn't have much time left to turn things around, and we brought you on board during the most terrifying time to come aboard a failing campaign, which is Black Friday. And you only had a few things to get things going, a few days to get things going, and as soon as we hired you on, things really turned around. We were getting what was it, Tamara, 3 to 4 times our return on ad spend?
Yeah, exactly. And the CPAs were a big one as well to pay attention to lower.
Right. What did the CPAs drop down to?
I think it was even $16, and before it was close to 30, or even over 30.
Yeah, so she really turned things around for us, and I'm really happy I came across her. She was introduced to me from a friend, and I'm definitely going to be working on more projects with her in the future.
Perfect. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. So yes, this company actually only had a matter of days to turn things around. And so this result, the 300 to 400%, was only in a matter of days. And so now that we've been with them for several months, It's much higher even still than this. And e-commerce skincare product business. So this client, he has a skincare business that wanted to build up his e-commerce business from scratch. And he wasn't advertising before. He has a distribution strategy. And he wanted to work with us to basically build up the e-commerce side. The result is that they went from 0 sales from e-commerce to 5,000 in only 3 weeks and a 400% return.
I was a little nervous stepping into this. It's something new that we haven't done here before. And not knowing what to expect, it was a little nerve-wracking. And it's an investment you have to be ready for, but at the end of the day, I've been seeing the progress, and I've been very happy seeing that it's just going in the right direction. At the end of the day, I feel like every company needs to go in this direction in terms of e-commerce and really build up their platform.
Mm-hmm.
And it's something that's just ever changing. I see it in the retail industry that things are not how they used to be. And I think companies need to take more control over that. So in order to do that, you kind of really need to invest in your own company and invest in your online platform. And I think at the end of the day, it's going to result in not just having customers and sales now, but there's the lifetime sale of that customer at the end of the day, which is going to be more important than anything else. And just also, even going into retail, it's important to have that because the reviews will show, and customers will always have that to look back at and to see that this is a legitimate company, and they're able to verify it.
Mm-hmm, absolutely. And like you said, the lifetime value of the customer is just the recurring sales that come from even just the first sale. And it really is building it from the ground up, even though you had sales in your retail locations. Developing this e-commerce platform is really from the ground up, from the beginning, just doing it again, but on an online version and getting those customers to your website. So yeah, I'm very happy to see the results that we're getting for you now. And I mean, this is really like building a business from the ground up, even though you had it in retailers. So of course, it takes a lot of testing, a lot of time, a lot of analysis to see what it is, that needs to tweak, and then finally break the essentially formula.
Yes, 100%.
Great, perfect. Well, thank you again so much. Oh yeah, if you wanted to.
Yeah, and the way you found where the breaks were on the site, that was super important. Like in the shopping cart, where you found it, where the drop off was, and how we implemented the fixes to that, and we saw right away the results, and now, I mean, every day we're seeing the orders.
Mm-hmm. Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Perfect.
But very happy. Thank you.
And just to show you another testimonial quickly, this was another skincare company, the CEO of Troy Skincare, and we worked with them to really go through the whole process, market research, branding, etc. And they basically said that it really did help them to understand where they were going, and was an essential component to building out their business and finally getting to the advertising stage and seeing results. And then here are some other testimonials actually inside a closed group that I have, and I work with them to basically coach through the entire process that we talked about. Some features: Entrepreneur, the first place award winner by Procter & Gamble, also Thrive Global and Medium, among others. And just a brief little part about my background, just in case you're interested. Yes, I am one of those rare breeds that was actually born and raised in New York City, Manhattan. So I started off my career in finance. Ironically, started off in college majoring in marketing, did a full circle, somehow ended up in finance because, of course, being in New York City. But I found that that was an incredibly important basis for my marketing career, because digital marketing nowadays, or what I like to say, will be just marketing very, very soon, and we'll never have to qualify it with the digital marketing part, because that is exactly where all marketing is going, 100% is digitally. But now it really is based on data and finance. If you don't tie it back to return on investment, and if you don't understand how to analyze the data and to work with the numbers, then you really are out of luck for marketing. That's what marketing is all about. So basically, my finance background was essential to my understanding on how to approach marketing effectively. And then I did do my MBA at Notre Dame, Mendoza School of Business. I do have 12 years experience. And after I did my MBA, and I went into actually strategic marketing positions, both in pharmaceuticals and CPG, consumer product companies. So I was also the director of a marketing startup in New York City, and I worked both in Europe, this was in the Netherlands, and in Sweden, and as well as, of course, New York City. And we're back in New York City, and Ashworth Strategy is based in New York City. And a little bit about myself. I am married, have a Swedish husband. I love to travel. I love reading. I love continuously learning new things. Optimizing life has become more and more one of my interests, so including business, of course. Yoga, skiing, summer. I love summers and being warm and on the beach. Sushi, cats. Yes, I threw that in as well. I do love cats, although currently we do not have any. Hopefully soon I might be able to convince a certain someone. And most of all, I truly love what I do and seeing the people that I work with exceed their business goals. So that is what truly drives me. That's why I started Ashworth Strategy. I wanted to help more and more people with what I came to learn over my years and my experience, and understanding, having that strategic background, which it all starts with strategy, having that data analytical background from my finance days, incorporating it back to return on investment, because if you're not getting a return, then marketing is just a cost and it's not actually an investment. So that is really my passion, and I love doing what I do on a daily basis. And then here's a quick snapshot from the entrepreneur.com article where I've been written in. And this was basically just to describe the Ashworth Strategy, and also the fact, what I just said, that marketing really needs to be viewed as an investment and not a cost. And too many people don't understand that. But thankfully, with digital marketing leading the way, that is quickly changing. However, I do believe that people focus too much on the end process, which is just the advertising, and not strategically integrating it into the entire business. So we really need to approach this from a business as well as financial perspective. And then just to summarize the takeaways from this video that you hopefully learned a thing or two. The 7 steps to building your multiple 7-figure e-commerce business. Step 1 was strategy. Absolutely everything. This is the foundation. It all starts with strategy. This is understanding thoroughly your market, your competitors, your own product and how it solves your customers' problems, and understanding inside and out who your customer is, everything there is to know about them. Step 2, your brand message. So after doing all of that strategic work, which is absolutely important, you cannot skip that. I know it sounds boring sometimes, but unfortunately it is an absolutely necessary evil to do it properly, because that is how you arrive at your brand message. And then step 3, website, conversion rate optimization. This is your store. So instead of having a physical store, instead of having to go out and rent and having this overhead cost of renting a physical store location in a busy street, for example, like New York City, You instead have the opportunity to do this online, but you don't want people coming into your store and leaving because it's not actually keeping their interest. People just always assume that people's interest nowadays, their attention span is decreasing more and more and more. And yes, our cell phones and social media is not helping, or is definitely contributing to that, but we have to keep that in mind. So your store has to really capture the audience and make them want to stay. Make it as easy and as simple as possible. Don't overcomplicate it, and make it aesthetically pleasing as well, because that is what makes somebody want to stay. If it's clean, organized, and makes sense, if it's logical. Step 4, social proofing. This is extremely important because we are social creatures and we do rely on the opinions of others, especially when we're buying something. This is a huge part of why Amazon was so popular, because of course you have those reviews. You need to do the same thing on your website, as well as your ads. So social proofing is extremely important. Step 5, Facebook and Instagram advertising, specifically for e-commerce. Very important, very different from any other form. This isn't a high ticket service, type of advertising. This is for an e-commerce product. So things are very fast moving because it is generally a lower price point. But of course, still depending on your price points, depends on whether you are going to be needing a longer funnel or a shorter funnel. And then step 6, customer service and fulfillment, extremely important, of course, because once you have all of the other steps in place, and yes, this is in order, once you have steps 1 through 5 running and going, you will be getting more and more sales. So the whole thing can easily crumble, and I've seen this many times, easily crumble if you don't have the customer service and fulfillment, the operations in place to actually serve the customers that you are now getting. And it because of the fast-paced environment that I just mentioned about e-commerce, basically you can actually see the impact immediately on your ads, on your sales, on your return on investment. So the moment you have one person leave a review saying that they didn't yet get your product, it's been a few weeks, that's going to significantly impact your return on ad spend. So it impacts your sales, your bottom line, everything. So that's why customer service and fulfillment is extremely important, and keeping up with this. And then step 7, the last one, remarketing. Remember, you've done all this work to get the person, to get the sale, to get the new customer. Now we really have to work on remarketing, because that is an easier task, but it's often forgotten because it is just not the first thing that comes to mind. So we definitely want to be able to have systems in place that do remarket, reach out to people who have already purchased your product or who are very warm audience and have come very close to purchasing your product. So we really want to have remarketing activities in place to seal the deal or get another purchase. And what to do next? Well, as I mentioned earlier, you can book a strategy call to clarify your e-commerce business roadmap for reaching multiple 7 figures. So the way to do this is below this video. And again, this isn't for everyone. So this is only for those who have an idea for or has an existing e-commerce store and they want to scale much further. And people who are serious about growing their e-commerce businesses to multiple 7 figures and therefore willing to do what it takes to get there, because not everyone can get there without doing what it takes. So it does take a certain someone, and not everyone actually wants to scale further. So that's why I do add these in here. This is not just, for any old reason other than I have spoken to people who truly, they think they're serious about growing their e-commerce business, but then they don't want to put one penny into even advertising. And unfortunately, that's not how marketing works. It's not how scaling a business works. So being serious about it, or of course, people who don't want to do the legwork to actually make this work. And really look at the data, look at where your bottlenecks are, look at what needs to be improved, learn how to read and interpret the data. That is all essential for succeeding and for reaching your multiple seven figures. If that is your dream, if that is where you want to head your company, this is all the essential components for it. And then who this is not for, people who don't plan to start or they don't currently have an e-commerce store. So this is for e-commerce business owners only, or those who want to start an e-commerce business. And people who, as I mentioned, don't want to scale further. So they're happy with where their business is today and they want to stay there. And that's perfectly fine, which is why I put this in here. So I'm not looking for those people. And just like I actually recommend and I advise and I say, actually, to be honest, it's essential that you know who your customer is. And you should qualify people. You should turn away people who your product does not help. The reason is because so let's say it's a foot insert, for example. So it's slightly a medical product, and it's supposed to help with blood circulation. Actually, I had a client like this, and it does not help if you are in a wheelchair and you're not actually standing on your feet and getting the blood circulation and moving. Well, that's actually, then you need to state the fact that that product is not for that person, because they're not going to be happy with the results and you're going to get negative reviews. So it does not help you to market to somebody who your product is not for. You really should only be marketing for the people who it is for, because that's how you get loyalty. That's how you get really happy customers, because you actually solved their problems, their very painful problems. And that's what we're looking for. And the other thing I will say is that by being very specific with who you are targeting, it does not necessarily turn people away. So that's another point I do want to stress, is that by targeting certain specific people, it does not mean that the others won't come along and try out your product either. And just a quick note, I have found that those who have the ability to work quickly and make fast decisions become the best clients and students, because they will act in the same way for their business, which will lead to exponential results. The way that you invest in growing your business will be directly correlated to the way that your customers buy your own products. And this can't be more true for e-commerce businesses, because, as I mentioned before, e-commerce is an extremely fast-paced industry. Things move and change so quickly. So making good decisions, yes, but making good decisions quickly is the key to being able to be successful with your e-commerce business and actually being able to grow it to the multiple seven figures. And if you've learned even just one thing from this video, how much value do you think that maybe you could get from a one-on-one strategy session with us, personalized for your e-commerce business? So book your strategy call before spaces fill up, and scroll down below the page of this video to apply to see if you qualify and get even more insight into building and growing your business to the next level. So the button below is in red and it looks like this on the screen, and it says apply now to see if you qualify. The next step will lead you to a booking page, and then after that there is a short survey of questions, and it is a pre-qualifying questionnaire because we need to make sure that we're providing this free service, this free strategy call to those who best fit the profile. So it is important to apply, and we don't accept everyone. And the other thing is that, of course, we're opening this up right now, but our calendar often gets very full, and therefore we end up needing to block the remainder of the time. So make sure to apply by clicking the red button below now, so that you can get in and get started to growing your business to the next level.